Hi, it's Hani here. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Hanielas. Today we are entering the world of royalty with these princess cookies. So if you're planning a princess or even tea party, I think these princess crown cookies would be a perfect addition. You can also find step-by-step picture tutorial if you are a picture learner on my blog, hanielas.com. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we can begin, we need to make the cookies. I am using my classic sugar cookie recipe for the cookies, and also you need to prepare royal icing. Both of these recipes are listed on my blog. Let's get started with royal icing gems. These are royal icing transfers, and I've got my template in a protector sheet, and I'm piping icing directly onto the protector sheet. First, I'm adding zigzag lines in my oval shapes, and then also small dots in my circles. So I'm doing this to mitigate cratering in royal icing. We're going to let these support lines crust, and then we can outline and flood these areas. I'm using deep pink royal icing, about 20 to 25 second consistency here. And to get this lovely dark pink, I use Deep Pink by Emery Color brand, food coloring. I suggest letting the color mature instead of adding excessive amounts of food coloring, which can lead to excessive drying time and are also bleeding of colors. Use your scribe tool to smooth the icing and then continue with making more oval-shaped gems. We're going to beautify these with edible jewel dust. This is a product that you can use. If you don't have this particular product, I'm going to be using pink diamond dust, but you can use other dust. You could use also white dust, which is kind of it's pretty neutral. So if you don't have pink, you can use white. And if you don't have either of these, you can also use sanding sugar. That's what I've used. Also, more about that you can find on the blog. So you want to dust these while the icing is wet, and then let these dry for about 8 to 12 hours on a flat surface. It is paramount that you are letting these dry on flat surface. So don't try to move them as they're drying. And if you'd like to use your work surface, you can put a flat tray underneath as you're piping these, so you can then lift the tray instead of lifting the sheet itself. So I've got all my pink ovals done, and we can move on and do the white ones. To make the white ones, you're just going to pipe a large dot all over the small dot of icing in the middle. Just follow the outline, and if there is an excessive peaking, you can use your scribe tool to smooth that. And then here I'm using white diamond dust, and this is a food product, so you don't have to worry. It's not made out of material that you're not supposed to eat. It's FDA approved. It includes mica, and you are safe to use it on royal icing. So I'm adding some white diamond dust onto the white icing. And these can be prepared ahead of time and stored in an airtight container away from direct sunlight and moisture. Once these dry, you can remove them. What happens when you're adding jewel dust or this kind of glitter, there is some residue on the edge. So if that bothers you, you can clean that up, just simply scraping that off, and then your gem is ready. and here are the white ones. Now, to save some of this expensive dust, you can use a small palette knife to kind of scrape it off the acetate and gather it into a small bowl. Again, clean up the edge. You see there is a bit left, so I want to save it to make sure that I have enough. And you can pour it back into the little container. All right, so that's that. And now I'm going to show you a neat trick. So we're going to make this decorative button, I would say. So I'm using ivory royal icing. This is about piping consistency here. And we're going to press the dry white gem we made before very gently into the ivory. It's important that the ivory is about piping consistency and immediately dusted with gold nonpareil sprinkles, and they will stick to that ivory, and look how pretty. So it creates this lovely kind of like a button style gem. And I'm gonna show you how to do this one more time. Again, important that the ivory icing is piping consistency or somewhere around there, so it's not too fluid. And then also very important is to dust these immediately, so the icing doesn't have a chance to crust. If it starts to crust, then sprinkles are not going to stick to the icing. And after this, you have to let this dry again. So this is a two-step process. And once these dry, you can use them to decorate your cookies. I love how these turned out. And these are the gems with the dust. And if you like to use sanding sugar, the ones on the left have sanding sugar, and the ones on the right have that jewel dust. Now we're gonna cut the piping bag. I'm using a tipless piping bag. I always find a seam on my piping bag and then cut straight across. It's best to cut a small cut, and then if needed, you can make a bigger cut. Once you make a bigger opening, then there is no way of going back. You have to switch the piping bag if you need a smaller opening. I'm using 15-second consistency royal icing to outline my crown cookie. And also I'm going to use the same piping bag with the same icing to fill in. As soon as I'm done outlining, you will notice that more icing is coming out. This is simply because I'm squeezing the piping bag just a bit more, so more icing comes out. I always try to ice the section by the outline first, because this section starts crusting and I don't like the look of the outline. But if there is an outline, it's no big deal, but it's just my preference, if possible. Sometimes it's not really possible, but for this particular design, it works. So you can kind of eliminate that outline if you ice that section around the outline immediately, and it kind of blends together. Then use your scribe tool to accentuate the corners and all the points and smooth the icing. If you see any air bubbles, now it's a good time to pop those air bubbles, and we're going to let the icing dry. So just set your cookies on a flat surface and let them air dry overnight. Here I've got gold luster dust mixed with Everclear, and we're going to use a fan brush, and I'm just going to add this lovely gold accent on the cookie. Make sure that you don't oversaturate the brush with gold, so take care to get rid of the excess, and then just swipe it across like so, and you can do it as many times as you want until you are happy with the design. And then you can just repeat this on all the cookies. I love this. Now we're going to embellish the crown with the gems. So I'm starting with the pink gem in the middle, and we're going to add a border around it using these white pearls. So to make sure that the pearls stick, I'm using white royal icing, and I'm going to do this in steps. So we can add a line of white icing on a section of around the gem, and then stick the beads or the pearls onto the white icing. Use tweezers to help you move the beads or pearls from the container onto the icing. And this icing that I'm using, it's about 20-second consistency icing. And you want to go around the whole thing. All right, we are almost there, almost there. If you don't have these white pearls, you could also use white nonpareils. If that's the case, I would do the whole outline and then just dust the icing with white nonpareils. Now we're going to add a border. For this, I'm using piping tip number 2, and I'm using the ivory royal icing. This is piping consistency icing here, and I'm adding a beaded border at the very bottom, and then we're also going to outline the upper section. So beaded border, it's basically a set of teardrop shapes. So first, if you haven't done this, try to pipe a teardrop shape. Basically, you're gonna squeeze the piping bag, let it come out into a dot, and then slowly move the piping bag as you're still squeezing it a bit in the direction you want your teardrop to go, and then kind of release the pressure, and then repeat to get a beaded border. Now we're going to outline, make a little swirl here, and also let's get started with a swirl here. And at the very point, I'm going to do a partial stop. So I touch, but I don't really release the pressure that much. Okay, so I'm not pulling away. So again, touch, and then continue piping, and touch again, and pipe again. And we want to go around the whole perimeter here. And almost done. We're going to also paint these outlines with gold edible luster dust. It's the same product we use for the gold accent on the base. So you're gonna have to use a smaller brush though, not the fan brush. Fan brush, it's used for special applications. But let's not forget the buttons. Remember those beautiful buttons? So I decided to add them on the side, and to glue them on, you just need a little bit of icing on the back, and then carefully place them onto the icing, and there. Now I'm going to paint with gold edible luster dust paint. You can also use readily available gold paint if you don't want to mix your own using dry luster dust and alcohol, or you can use an activator. And if you'd like to learn more about this project, you can visit my blog, hanielas.com. I've also included step-by-step picture tutorial there, so if you are a picture learner, you can check it out there. Link is in the description box under the video. If you are new to my YouTube channel, don't hesitate, you haven't subscribed yet? Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell button so you get notified about my new uploads and also about my weekly live streaming events. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.